Our body is the most important part of our life. It keeps us running. It pumps the blood, fuels the knowledge, and provides us with fantastic opportunity. We don't always think that though, because we are focused on other operations, such as school, work, and at home activities, including our children. Too busy to care about how we treat our bodies or what we are putting in our bodies. Soda, candy, baked products, and much more all have artificial sweeteners in them. What is an artificial sweetener, and how exactly are we treating our body? Today will be a group presentation about artificial sweeteners. It will be presented by myself, Alexander Wachowski, Bailey Rich, Megan Raymond, Claire Simon, and Trevia Stewart. To start the speech off, Bailey Rich will be speaking about why we use artificial sweeteners. This is what we put in our coffee. As you can see, Splenda is a version of an artificial sweetener. Megan Raymond will be speaking about why we crave them. Why do we crave soda? To finish, Claire Simon will be speaking about the rumors and effects of artificial sweeteners. And to conclude our presentation, Trevia will summarize what Bailey, Megan, Claire spoke about. Now let me introduce you to a great mind and someone who is passionate about what we put in our bodies. Bailey will now take over to speak about why we use artificial sweeteners.
In recent years, our culture has been asking more questions about what's going into our system. Artificial sweeteners have not escaped this scrutiny, and for a good reason. What created the demand for artificial sweeteners? Well, it was a desire to continue enjoying the sweet flavors and foods that we loved, but decreasing the amount of calories we actually consumed. Adding artificial sweeteners allows us to up the sweet flavor and decrease the amount of calories we are actually consuming if we had included real sugar. This is good because we are in fact decreasing our caloric intake, but it's bad because we could be desensitizing ourselves to the natural sugar levels in foods like fruits. One artificial sweetener, saccharin, is 200 times sweeter than real sugar, and another, called advantane, is 20,000 times sweeter than artificial sugar. Sounds pretty desensitizing to me. The Mayo Clinic suggests that artificial sweeteners can be good in moderation. They can help diabetics monitor their daily intake and weight loss patients monitor their caloric intake. The FDA has approved an acceptable daily intake for all of the artificial sweeteners. Saccharin, for example, is 900 milligrams per day, and advantane is 2,000 milligrams per day. Many companies jumped at the new market of artificial sweeteners, leaving us with at least 11 artificial sweeteners. However, only 6 have been approved by the FDA for human consumption. The top 3 most consumed are aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose. Now, let's hear from Megan, who's going to tell us about the daily effects of consuming artificial sweeteners.
As Bailey just touched on, there are some positives and negatives to consumption of artificial sweeteners. On a daily basis, these products are being consumed. Some of the consumers are aware they're doing so, and others are completely oblivious. While physically on the outside, these people may look okay, internally that might not be the same case. While adding in artificial sweeteners to your diet to reduce your caloric intake seems like a grand idea, that's not so true. The pesky little buggers are actually tricking your body and your mind. You see, when you eat something yummy, say a chocolate chip cookie, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine may seem like a scary word and a bad thing, but it's actually good. Dopamine is a natural chemical released by your brain, and it's the stuff that makes you feel good and happy. It's generally associated with the pleasure side of your brain. However, artificial sweeteners are empty in calories. Therefore, your body thinks it's not receiving anything sweet, which triggers your body into craving even more sweets. This happens because your brain tastes the sweetness and releases the dopamine, but your body's not getting any benefit with the lack of calories, so it wants more. Instead of grabbing a cookie, next time try grabbing a handful of berries, which are naturally sweet and contain calories your body can actually use. Consumption of artificial sweeteners such as sucralose and aspartame have shown side effects in both mice and humans that ingestion of these products can alter microbial metabolic pathways. This leads to glucose intolerance, which causes changes in your gut microbiota. In other words, your metabolism is being altered negatively. As these metabolic functions decline, so does your gut health. Without your metabolism functioning properly, your body is unable to maintain a normal blood pressure, blood glucose levels, and your cholesterol levels. This can leave people feeling bloated, having mood changes, feeling lightheaded, shaky, and dizzy. Now, while continued consumption of artificial sweeteners, these short-term side effects can actually turn into a nasty relationship with chronic illnesses. So I'll go ahead and I'll hand it back over to Bailey, and she'll go over all the long-term effects with you guys.
Now that we have a basic knowledge of artificial sweeteners and their daily effects, let's take a closer look at the long-term effects of artificial sweeteners on the body. To start off, let me dispel one of the most believed rumors about artificial sweeteners: cancer. There have been extensive studies done on the topic, and there is no evidence supporting the connection between artificial sweeteners and cancer. There was, however, a development of cancer in rats, but never in humans. Now that cancer is off the table, let's take a look at the possible side effects of artificial sweeteners on the body. There may be an increase in appetite due to the reduced calories in artificial sweeteners. Reduced calories may result in more hunger, causing the body to desire sweeter and more unhealthy foods. With the increase in an appetite and desire for these sweeter and healthy foods, there may also be an increase in weight gain. Though these artificial sweeteners do have calories, it tricks the body into thinking it needs more, resulting in weight gain. The last health concern with artificial sweeteners is the possible and severe allergic reactions and other possible side effects that many of the individuals in studies displayed when consuming artificial sweeteners. Specifically, saccharin, which means excessively sweet, and it is very common that those who are sensitive to these excessively sweet artificial sweeteners result in unpleasant reactions. Those who were particularly sensitive and reacted negatively may have had headaches, shortness in breath, and skin breakouts, none of which anybody wants to endure. This does not mean that everyone who indulges in these artificial sweeteners may have reactions, but many are sensitive. Another fact found was that people with depression had severe spikes in symptoms, and many of which who had these severe side effects discontinued the study. I personally struggle with severe anxiety and know that when I have too much saccharin, all of my anxiety-related feelings skyrocket. The sources used for this section were Artificial Sweeteners, Learn the Dangers and Benefits by Betty Kovacs Harbolic, Pros and Cons of Artificial Sweeteners by the Mayo Clinic, and Artificial Sweeteners, Sugar-Free but at What Cost by Holly Strawbridge. Even though these artificial sweeteners have been approved by the FDA for consumption, keep in mind that these are possible side effects. This does not mean that you will not suffer from any of these side effects, nor does it mean that you will. If you consume artificial sweeteners, each person's experience is different. Now let's hear from Travia, who is going to wrap up everything we've told you with a nice, neat bow.
So in conclusion, as many Americans strive to defeat the battle of the bulge in order to increase their longevity, to increase the chances of living longer, healthier lives, we're all faced with certain choices. And there are choices that can help us get there faster, and there are choices that can completely derail us. We know that exercise is one component that helps tremendously, but exercise alone cannot get us to optimal health. We have to look at, analyze, and oftentimes adjust exactly what it is that we put into our bodies. And we all know that there are certain things that we consume on a daily basis that can make us feel great, give us so much energy to where we feel like we can conquer the world. But there are also things that we consume on a daily basis that make us feel terrible. They make us feel sluggish. They make us feel fatigue. Sweets and sugar often falls in that category. The Federal Drug Administration recommends an average individual consume only 50 grams of sugar a day. And so, because people have health goals and we want to live longer lives, the demand to continue to enjoy our sweet treats has been so prevalent of late that it's created the need for a high use of artificial sweeteners. Sugar substitutes in our daily diet. So for instance, Bailey introduced us to the different types of artificial sweeteners, that range from aspartame to sucralose to saccharin. So let's say I'm an individual who enjoys a nice soda once a day, maybe. One can of Coca-Cola basically has 150 calories in it and 39 grams of sugar. That's one 12-ounce can. Artificial sweeteners now have taken the place of that sugar. So if you were to just make a different choice with a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero, both of these products have 0 calories and 0 grams of sugar. So if you chose the previous with the 12-ounce can with the 39 grams, if the FDA recommends 50, you're well over halfway there of your recommended daily allowance just from consuming one can of Coca-Cola. So for most people, this is an easy decision to make. And so now we must look at the effects of consuming these items and how it affects the body. Based on individual consumption, the effects can range from positive to negative. So Megan touched on the fact that consuming sucralose and aspartame specifically may negatively affect many of our health components, especially gut issues, the thing that how our bacteria is formed in our gut. And then it also, based on a high level of consumption, can affect our blood pressure. So there are various ways that we are all impacted by consuming artificial sweeteners on a daily basis. We live in an alarmist society. People are quick to link many things to cancer. But scientists have proven, contrary to various beliefs, that there is no link between artificial sweeteners and cancer. So in a recap, Bailey touched on the nutritional benefits and the demand, exactly what created the demand for sugar substitutes. Then secondly, Megan explored the effects of consumptions on the body. And then Bailey rounded out our third point with the long-term effects on the body. So while this topic and the 6 approved sweeteners continue to be investigated by the Food and Drug Administration, along with many scientists, many Americans continue to enjoy these low-calorie treats because it means that we can still continue to enjoy having our sweet tooth and our tasty treats. So as many Americans continue to question the benefits of consuming artificial sweeteners, liken to having that slice of dessert, that delicious piece of cake. Everything is better in moderation. Thank you.